Malika, what do you think between the Bucks and the Clippers? Who is more likely to make the finals?
I feel like Tracy's sizing me up over here. What you got? What you got? The Bucks, and let me tell you why. 3 main reasons. 1, the path is just easier. It is easier in the East, especially this year. I think the East got a little bit weaker. Secondly, how does Giannis respond to adversity? He comes out and is a monster, and he got knocked down last year. He's going to want to get the first punch. And then the third reason is I was just out at the Bucks practice and at the Bucks shoot-around this morning, and they feel like their bench got stronger. And that's the difference when it comes to the playoffs, is depth. So between those 3 things, especially considering the East just being an easier landscape, I would say, the Clippers, they got to face the Lakers.
Are you ready to give it to the Bucks over the Sixers?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. For the sake of, the question, yes, it's the Bucks, but I'm saying both of them.
Okay.
Both of these, this is going to be our NBA Finals for 2020. The reason I think the Clippers will be there because they're going to be an outstanding defensive team. Once they get everybody back healthy. Paul George is out of the lineup right now. But once they get a full roster and everybody get acclimated with each other, defensively is going to be, for them, historic because of Pat Beverly, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I just think they're going to be that type. And then you got 2 guys in Kawhi and Paul George that can give you 25 plus and take over a game at any given time. And you got the best 6th man in the game in Lou Williams. So I like Clippers as well.
I agree that the East has lost some depth. I do think that between the Sixers and Bucks, I can't tell you who's going to win that. I really can't. I'm hoping that that's the conference finals, or at least we get to see it shake out to see if they are the 2 best teams going into the spring. And man, that's a matchup that could be really, really good. The Clippers, for the first couple of the weeks of the season, I know they had a couple losses there, but they have, when they've played well, to me, distinguished themselves as the favorite, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but there's someone you'd put your chips behind, to your point. And they don't have Paul George yet.
No.
Yeah.
So this is why I couldn't say clearly, oh, yeah, this team's going to have a harder path, this team's going to have an easier path. I think it's going to be good, and we'll see a little bit tonight.
And for the Sixers, I think they still have to figure out, okay, who's going to close for us, right? Jimmy Butler is not there. Is it going to be Embiid? Is it going to be Simmons, who hasn't, really been comfortable at taking shots? So that's the question for them. We don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. I want to continue to update the situation with Kawhi not playing. I mentioned at the top of the show that every time I've talked to the league office about this, they've stressed to me it is an injury illness load management designation, not a rest designation. And NBA spokesman Mike Bass telling Adrian Wojnarowski this: Kawhi Leonard is not a healthy player under the league's resting policy, and as such is listed as managing a knee injury in the LA Clippers injury report. The league office, in consultation with the NBA's director of sports medicine, is comfortable with the team's medical staff's designation and their determination that Leonard is not sufficiently healthy to play in back-to-back games at this time. And we talked about that aspect at the top of the show. And Mac, you were saying, well, if he's not healthy enough to play in back-to-backs, I would like him to play in the game against Giannis. I do still think it's interesting, and it's why I asked the question of, is he more hurt than we think? The fact that they're saying this is an injury illness designation.
Well, but they've said this all along. The Clippers have always maintained all season, right, that this is going to be a Toronto light in terms of their approach to Kawhi and his health. So this doesn't raise all the alarm bells for me that something super serious is necessarily going on, but it's a bummer regardless.
Yes, listen, we're not disputing that.
Right.
That's fine that you want to have him sit out one of these games. We're just saying the marquee matchup is tonight.
Right.
Tonight is the marquee matchup.
And I want to take this away from the Kawhi situation for a minute, just to that sort of designation that Mike Bass is making about he's not a healthy player resting. It's under injury illness, because apparently, and I learned this last week when I talked to the league about Kawhi last week, that there is a difference under load management about whether you're saying rest for health or rest just for rest. My answer back to this was, a player should never be resting if he's healthy. For me, load management is always going to be about managing someone's health and whether you think there's a chance of re-injuring. If it's just to get some sleep or just to take a night off, there's a lot of times you can do that. And there's nap time, right, built into an NBA player's schedule. So I would like to see that not be a designation at all. And I went back and forth with our friend Tim Frank on this, and I know he disagrees with me. But for me, I would like to, it should always be for injury illness if you're loads managing someone, because if it's just rest, then why are we having an 82-game season?
Right.
Right? So I don't know. But they are making the point, it is injury illness for tonight. The other game on ESPN tonight is Warriors-Rockets, a clash of 2 of the 3 worst defenses in the league. So again, get those calculators out. You might want to bet the over. D'Angelo Russell will miss the game with a sprained ankle, joining Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson off the court. But what about Houston's defense, or lack thereof? The Rockets obviously high expectations this season, but they're giving up, I believe we have the numbers, 123 points a game right now.
Wow.
Wow. Tracy, are these fixable problems for the Rockets?
You know, this has been the knock on these guys. James Harden, lack of defensive effort, and now they have Westbrook over there, and it's not good. We know they can put up points, but at the end of the day, you got to stop people. And having, Best Delic that they had as their defensive coordinator. And
he was in, he was out,
right,
he was in, he was out again.
And now he's not there, and it's extremely ugly. This is the worst I think it's been. Yeah, it's fixable if these guys buy into. Yeah. I don't even know what the system is. Like,
some system.
Right. When I played for Jeff Van Gundy, played for him for 3 years. We were top 5, one of the best defensive teams in the league. Even when he left, our core group was still there, and we still maintained the defensive principles that we learned from Jeff, implemented that in Rick Alderman's system, and we still were a top defensive team. So I don't know what's going on defensively with these guys.
Well, I spend quite a bit of time around another defensively challenged team, the Nets, and what Kenny Atkinson continuously said is, we're only 5 games in, we're only 6 games in, we're only 7 games in. So is this fixable? Yes, but 5 games turns into 10 games, which turns into 20 games, which is a quarter of the season, real quick. So in this moment, yes, it's fixable. In 20 games, that's when it becomes a yikes, if we hadn't seen it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.